It's that time of the week when you need to start thinking about your fishing game plan. Our 6 fishing guides have the best information and tips to help you put together the right fishing plan on your day out on the water. This is the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, and we're bringing you some exciting weekend fall bite report news for our season finale show, right, Rick?
You're absolutely right, Bree. You know, just because it's the finale doesn't mean that we're going away just for a short. We gotta have some Christmas time.
We gotta have a little break, right?
Yeah,
we got the holidays,
Christmas
we got
time.
Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. That's a lot to get done.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back next year.
Yeah, and speaking of getting a lot done, this year you got a lot done.
I did get a lot done.
Busy girl. Got married, had a baby. What else
You
got
did a lot
for-
of fishing. Congratulations.
I did.
Meh. All right. Well, someone who we always have to keep up with is over at the CCA workbench, ready to work today, aren't you, Dave?
I haven't gotten a lot done this year.
Yes, you have. You've been here with us,
I've been
working
pretty
hard
lazy.
at the CCA workbench.
This is my only job, so I got to work hard at it.
This is true.
Otherwise, I'm not working hard.
But this is true. But we love you, Dave.
Otherwise, he's not working.
That's
he's
correct.
All right, we're looking at our Upper Fresh region here. First with Johnny Geist with some news on Lake Welsh and Fork. Hey, Johnny.
Hello, Rick and Bree. How are y'all today?
Good.
Gosh, it's hard to believe this is the last Texas Insider Fishing Report of 2018. Man, the time's flying.
Yes, it does.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to be part of the team this year. I also want to thank the many viewers who reached out and expressed their appreciation for our weekly fishing reports. I hope we've helped everyone in some small way to find some new fishing holes and catch some bigger and a lot more fish. Well, this week I'm reporting again on 2 of the absolute best fishing lakes that will be that way for the rest of the fall here in the Upper Fresh region. And first one's up, this Lake Welsh, just over here south of Mount Pleasant, Texas. And Lake Welsh continues to be one of the best fishing lakes around. We've had numerous trips this month already to Welsh, and usually catching 30 to 50 bass by noon, and knocking off at noon. It gets hot and had a good day. All the water temperatures are still around 90 degrees on this power plant lake. The bass are moving back to the creeks already. Creeks and bays, and a lot of shad moving up, and they're feeding on the real small shad that's in the hydrilla. The hydrilla continues to be the magnet that's holding both the bait and the bass around this lake. Some days the bass seem to be out on top of that vegetation, and some days they buried up in it. So every day is unique, and you never catch them with the same bait twice. As that weather starts to cool, there'll be more and more bass becoming active in the shallows, and it'll just get better. Seeing some schooling activity. It's showing up on about every other time we go, every other day. It's usually just a few quality bass bunched up, and they'll school and chase bait for a little while, and then it's over. But I do expect to see that increased schooling activity really kick off in full-fledged fall pattern here in the next few weeks. We've had some good success on frogs and walking topwater baits. My best topwater baits so far have been a Yozuri 3D pencil walking bait, and it will just trigger some massive blow-ups. Each morning we catch a few early on the top waters, and then we switch over to weightless plastic baits like the Bass Assassin, jerk bait, and also a wacky worm. Each day it seems one of these 2 lures will work better than the other. Sometimes we have to use a different presentation with those baits, though. So when the bass are above that vegetation, they'll hit the weightless fluke or wacky worm, don't have to put any weight in or nothing, just throw it out, twitch it on the top, and they'll blow up on it. But there's other days where you have to, when they bury up deep in that grass, you have to put a little nail in the head of the wacky worm, makes the head go down in the grass, and either that or go to a short drop shot presentation, and we'll catch the bass right in the grass. So what makes Welsh special this time of year is basically the lack of boating and fishing pressure. You can go over there during the week or in the weekends, and you might see 3 or 4 boats on the water. So most anglers in our area only fish this power plant lake in the winter, but it has been fishing excellent, and I encourage everybody to get some of that this fall. I got a good picture here. Just a couple days ago, we caught 50 by noon. One of my neighbors, James Schultz, caught this nice bass. It was right around 6 pounds, and we had a bunch of them look like that. Well, next up, I'm going to close out my season on my home lake, in Lake Fork. We had 2,250 anglers. Just completed a 3-day tournament this weekend on the Sealy Big Bass Splash event. And as I predicted last week, it took an 11.15 bass to win the tournament. There were also 6 bass over 9 pounds weighed in, and 7 bass over 8 pounds weighed in, and a whole bunch of 5, 6, and 7s mixed in as well. The weather was challenging with heavy rains all week, some thunder and lightning, but people stayed out there and they caught some big fish. So looks like Old Lake Fork still produced a bunch of big ones as usual. It usually takes a few days after this big event for the bass on Fork to settle back down. They'll get into a more predictable feeding pattern. But the heavy rains this week added over 6 inches of fresh water on the Fork, and this should improve the shallow water bite immensely. So far, the annual fall turnover has been very sporadic, and we may not see a prolonged turnover this time. So hopefully we'll start seeing falling water temperatures later this month, and this should also lead to better fishing as well. The crappie and the catfish, man, they're still biting great, and this bite should remain excellent throughout the fall as well. So if you're coming to fish for bass on Fork, focus your efforts in the shallow flats in the back of the creeks. As the shad move back in the creeks, bass become more active, and if you'll find the shad activity where they're flipping on top, maybe some breaking bass, you're going to find a good productive area. I like to use a moving bait, such as a square bill, crankbait, or lipless lures to find the biting fish. And if you've got shallow water grass in the backs of those creeks, the lake's got this slight rise coming on from heavy rains. These areas will be great spots to try as well. Here's some very good creeks. So if you come in, look for Birch Creek, Little Caney, and Glade Creek. They're holding fish already and should get better and better. We got some smaller creeks in Mid-Lake, like Williams, Little and Big Mustang, and Wolf Creek, and they're also ganging up with fish in the back end as well. I like to use the topwater lures. Once I got them located, it's just more fun, and nothing more fun than that big blow up on a topwater bait or frog. So with the season changing over to fall, now's a great time to get out here on this lake and have some fun catching all species of fish. So if I can help anyone this fall when they get on the Fork, do it, give me a shout out. And I'll close out this season with a picture of this winner of Sealy Big Bass event. Charles Blundell catches this .15, takes home a fully rigged Triton bass boat and a new Ram pickup and $7,000 in cash. Thank you, Bob Sealy.
All right, thank you so much, Johnny. Did a great job this year, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the upper fresh hot spots. Johnny says Lake Welsh, largemouth bass, are excellent. Use topwaters and wacky worms in the shallows. And then his home lake, Lake Fork, crappie and catfish are good. Bass are fair on Texas rigged plastics and drop shots.
He did a great job this year. Good
Yes,
job,
he did.
Johnny. All right, the Lower Coast region is up next, and Captain Chad Kinney has got the inshore and offshore species that you love. So go for it, Chad.
Tell you what, fishing's been great, and starting here in the fall coming up, it's even getting better offshore and the beach front and stuff like that. So after these shows are all going through, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, I'll give you some reports here, October, November and stuff. It's going to be really good. Baffin Bay moving here is producing some big bull redfish, so they're holding up in there really big, some big bulls. Lower Lagoon and Madre, we're producing some good slot redfish are showing up on the flats. And then offshore, we got plenty of action on some wahoo and dorado and stuff like that. And the beachfront, like I said, is just going off on fire with all the bait and stuff. So starting out with the inshore, the Baffin Bay, I should continue to still produce some big bull reds. And the slot reds are moving here along the Lower Laguna from here to the island, Port Mansfield, Arroyo City, on the flats there. So if you're looking for those slot redfish, start up a shallow first thing in the morning and look for your bait. You got to follow the bait and find some bait up in there. And these fish in the bait's been holding in about calf deep water to maybe knee deep real early like that. So I said, look for the little mullet flipping. That's primarily what we're going to be having down here. So if you see some mullet flipping and usually in a pretty good long row, go ahead and shut your boat down, power pull it down, and jump out. More likely, like I said, calf deep, knee deep, you'll be good. Get your remote with your power pull, get your guys spread out and start doing some weight and look for wakes pushing and looking for that bait to flip. Whenever you hear that bait flipping or moving, cast around there. Early in the morning, Rapala skitter walks working really well. Also, weedless gold spoons is definitely a go-to. That's how I always talk about that. 1/8 ounce, about 1/4 ounce. Don't try to throw a big old half or, even bigger 1 ounce, and try to stay with the weedless. Don't use a treble because you'll catch a bunch of that surface grass and stuff on there. As the day goes on, especially when you move out deeper, you can switch to like a soft plastic paddle tail, chartreuse and stuff like that works really well on that stuff. And then, like I said, it started out the big bull redfish. They are holding them baffin. Talked to rental boys, quite a bit, and they're still hammering on them like that. And there's still a bunch of redfish around the jetties from Port A, Port Mansfield, and down to South Padre. If you're doing this stuff, the best thing to use is drop-offs or on the washouts on live croaker, piggies, free line, and attach a chatterweight to it if you need to. So got a picture of good bull redfish up here out of Baffin Bay. They've been consistently doing that here. And then moving outside, like I said, the beachfront, the jetties have been just on fire. It's silly. If you head out there early, guys, you'll see the bait, moving and going every which way. But also you can look at the pelicans and pretty much just follow the pelicans. They're going to be out there dive bombing everything. And so there's lots of glass minnows which are being fed on. They're getting fed on by skipjack, Spanish mackerel, Jack Crevalle, tarpon, kingfish, shark. So you got everything sitting in there, and it's just nonstop action. Try some top waters working well, or a silver spoon if you're going after the mackerel and stuff like that, and attach a wire to it. You don't need a huge bunch, but attach about 8 to 10 inches of wire is plenty to a haywire twist on like that. And just pretty much every catch, you can get 2-3 hits or hook up a fish every time. It's a lot of fun. And then, like I said, when you see those bait balls moving, you'll see those fish popping and blowing on the sides. So casting the sides up behind the bait balls, moving through there, and it's going to be nonstop action. And when you're heading out there like that, I like using a bait caster, but definitely take a spinning rod combo also. It's like some 30-pound braid, lighter tackle. You have a lot of fun like that in case you need to cast into the wind once the fish move beside you there. And then heading to the offshore, like I said, the offshore has been really going nuts. It goes good here through October and stuff like that. Sometimes even in November, depends on our northerns. It's been excellent. There's plenty of state water with snapper. And also there's been some good numbers on some blackfin tuna, dorado, and wahoo and stuff like that. There's been no really big weed lines to speak of. We had a little spurt about a month or so ago, but nothing really consistently, I think, due to the weather. But there's still been good dorado behind the shrimp boats around some deeper structure and stuff like that. Of course, if you see anything floating, make sure you work on that. Use some rig ballyhoo skirted on a islander or some small jet heads. Works good. I like really using some squid chains too. You get some squid chains in the back of it, put 3 of those on there. Be a cedar plug working on the trailer back there. Works really good. Control those 7.5 to 8 knots. And if you're behind a shrimp boat, if you see one anchored up later in the day and stuff like that, go ahead and pull it behind the boat and throw some chum out there. We've been seeing some dorado popping out back there also like that. If you do, just go ahead and free line it on a smaller live bait hook. Let them eat it, let them run for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then lock it up and you get the hook set and they'll make a few jumps. And got a picture here of a couple nice dorado that was caught out of South Padre there on Saltwalker. And then moving over here to the wahoo. Wahoo fishing has been good around the deeper shrimp boat structure. Purple Rapala divers is my favorite. We just caught a nice 45-pounder here 2 days ago, and also rig ballyhoo with the islander works really, really good. And then if you're heading out for high-speed stuff, you get a huge jet head and get a 50 wide or 80 wide and throw it out there way, way, way back, and you can do 15, 20 knots in those, and you have to be quick on the gun when you get a knockdown, but that's a lot of fun. But we got a monster wahoo. This is caught in the saltwater. Our Wahoo Classic is 90.22 pounds, caught by Kevin off the Dreamcatcher.
That's a stud wahoo, Brie, Dave. That's amazing. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Lower Coast region. Thank you so much this year, Chad. Baffin Bay is continuing to produce bull reds with slot reds in the flats in the lower Laguna Madre. And then offshore has been excellent. There's plenty of state water red snapper and some good numbers of tuna and dorado and wahoos, as you could see.
I could see that. Rick, were you feeling happy today?
I am feeling happy.
Yellow's the color of happiness, and
Is
we're
that
totally
right?
twinning today. We did not plan this, people.
We
did
never
not.
do, but
we never
it's
do.
amazing how
we're
we
synced.
sync it.
High five.
Yeah.
The Middle Coast region is up for review next year on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, but first we're getting to work over at the CCA workbench with Dave Ferrell for some rigs and techniques.
Yep.
Why aren't you wearing yellow?
Oh, I didn't get the memo.
You did not.
But we're going to talk about generic fishing, trolling, offshore, how to catch everything.
Really cool
everything.
stuff. We're going to
Everything.
catch really cool stuff. We'll be right back, guys.
He's opening up the toolbox.
The
boys.
Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The American Fishing Tackle Company. Any fish, any water. Since 1958. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. And CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 Offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha, Reliability starts here.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Outside is a bully. There are bears, screaming fleet-footed waters. Arrogant mountains. Goliaths. 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 And 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
CCA is the largest marine conservation group of its kind, with 70,000 members in Texas. CCA's mission is dedicated to conserve, promote, and enhance the present and future availability of our coastal resources for the benefit and enjoyment of the general public. So if you care about the health of our Texas coastal resources, join CCA today by going to their website, ccatexas.org, and help them make a difference. Use the promo code REDFISH to receive your free hat with your membership. CCA, the leader in marine conservation.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench and
Get
Dave,
fired up.
This is your stuff.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, just like the fellow just said, things are going to be getting good offshore Texas in October, November, all the way up until December sometimes. If the cold fronts don't come down, it just keeps going and going and going. It gets better and better. It's a lot nicer. We're going to go through all the generic things. First off, most questions I get is how fast do you have to go? Well, you're going to be going between 4 and 8 knots, I would say, most of the time. If you're going to be using dead baits, you want to go slower, and you can go a little faster if you have something to put in front of your dead bait that keeps them together. An island lure or like Sea Star, any of these island lure type lures that you put in front of your bait. It makes the bait last longer, so you can go a little bit faster. But if you're not using anything in front of it, you want to go between 4 and 6. Never more than that if you're using just plain ballyhoos.
And why is that?
Well, because they start to fall apart.
It washes them out.
It washes them out.
Correct.
You're moving faster through the water. If you put this on the front of it, it makes them last a little longer, and you can actually go a little faster. If you have really good baits, though, sometimes you can go a lot faster. But it depends. Usually, if you're using frozen bait, you're going to have to slow down a little bit. Now, a wide range like this lure can go a lot of different speeds, from 4 all the way up to 14 knots.
I see this lure multiple times a year. You love this lure, wide range.
Well, if you get on any boat in the world that's fishing offshore, from the furthest little backwater of Africa all the way to the South Pacific, you're going to get on the boat and you'll find a wide range on it.
Versatility.
Well, it's impossible to pull wrong. Like I said, it'll pull straight as an arrow at 4 knots or at 14 knots in whatever sea state you're in. And that's one of the big things about speed that when people ask me how fast can you go, well, how big are the seas? What have you got back there? How much does it weigh? These are all factors that go into how fast you can go. But as a rule of thumb, you say between 6 and 8 knots, and you don't want your stuff to tumble. If it stays in the water, that's fast enough. You don't want to go so fast that your stuff starts to tumble, because you can cover distance. The faster you can go without having the stuff come out of the water, the more ground you're covering. And the more ground you cover, the more bites you're going to get. The next most often question I'm asked is, how far back do you put stuff? Well, again, it depends on the size of the boat you're on. A lot of big boats, they'll put stuff way, way back. But fish aren't afraid of the boat. You should only put stuff back as far as you could see it. If you're not fishing for tuna fish where you have to put stuff way, way back to get a bite, just to get out of the tunas, because the tunas get hammered a lot, so you have to put your stuff way back. You should never put lures further back than the captain can see them. Because if he can see them, then he can tell the anglers down below, hey, we got a fish up behind this bait. Take a look at it.
I got a question for you. you know, you have a variety of sizes here, Dave. Do you put the bigger lures closer to the boat?
Yeah.
Or do, you know, go through that spread?
Well, when you're putting your baits out, first off, you put your long baits out first, and then you work your way back to the boat so you don't have to go through all your stuff. And your little stuff usually goes on your outriggers. Because for one, when you got something pulling on an outrigger, it's pulling on an outrigger. And if it's something big, it's going to be pulling hard. And if it's heavy seas, it's going to be pulling harder when it's digging into the waves. So you want the stuff on the outsides and the long baits to be a little lighter. The big stuff you can pull inside off a short rigger or from a transom clip. And that gives a really low angle for a big bait like that. You can put a hook in that thing. That's rigged to be a teaser right now. But you can pull this off the short corner off a 130, a bent butt, and have it running off a transom clip so that the toe angle is real low and that big lure will stay in the water really close to the boat. And a big fish will come up and nail that thing when it's, you know, 15 feet from the transom, 25 feet from the transom at the most even. And, you know, those big fish will come up and get those little stuff. You want to make sure when you're pulling stuff that you keep everything equidistant. You know, when your spread is out, your short baits, you know, no matter how far out they are, you want your short baits to be parallel to each other, so that when when you make a turn, those two baits will never cross.
Correct.
Because they're the exact same length out the back of the boat. You can spin around and get another bite. If you pull all your stuff in when you get a bite, you're not going to get a double header. So let it hang out.
Next time,
make a turn.
You got to talk faster, right, Brie?
Okay.
Yes.
He got so
he's
much
the
info.
master.
I still got 2 more pages.
Yes, and you didn't talk about the Ricky Red Rods. So just a reminder, if you want to set your fishing on fire, the Ricky Red Rods are available by Okuma, and you can simply go to rickyredrods.com to order and check out our cool video that we have. All right, Captain Bink Grimes in the Middle Coast region is talking the good stuff when it comes to your weekend on the water. So Bink, if you will, take us fishing.
I tell you what, it's the end of September, and we're still waiting on summer to disappear, but our fishing is really, really good. Our highs are in the 90s right now, but we're still in the summer pattern. And our trout continue to be, they're covering more real estate because we've got really high tides right now. In Matagorda, the CCA Guides Cup was this past week, and we had calm, green conditions. And when that happens, East Bay showed you exactly what it has when you got that many good fishermen chasing fish. Guy Glenn Ging, he broke the tournament record with 35 pounds on a stringer. That's 5 trout and 2 redfish. He shattered the previous record by 3 pounds. And ironically, Tommy Alexander, who's won the cup twice and set the previous mark at 32 pounds, actually broke his own record in this tournament and got second. That's pretty cool, and I'm pretty proud of them because they both fished for the Sunrise Lodge, so really good dudes. Both captains said they caught their best trout while wading the mid-bay reefs on skitter walks, and then some of the best bites came after lunch. And then that new Lely slow-sinking floater caught a lot of fish, too, while wading those mid-bay reefs. This year has really been a boon for big trout in East Bay. There's no reason that trend shouldn't continue, since we believe it has a lot to do with the fresh water, balancing the brine, and that's one key to a healthy trophy trout population. It's been wet now for 5 years, and after we endured about 7 years of drought. And with Matagorda receiving over 25 inches of rain in the last 2 weeks, and then we got another 3 or 4 inches this week, we should see more greener pastures. Guy Ray Sexton said that West Matagorda Bay has been hot for limits of trout over shell while wading. Those tides are high, and he's working right against the grass on top of those shell-laden points. Crest Palacios Bay and Coup Island has also paid off with the higher tides. Then the jetties along the Middle Coast have been good for trout on live shrimp and croakers. Some have waded the backside of the jetties on calm days, and so many people forget about the surf this time of year. They think somehow that those trout leave the surf, but they don't leave the surf. They're there, and they're there to be caught on the next green tide. We'll go to redfish. Man, those bull redfish, they're in the same spot those trout are. They're on the beachfront, surf side of Port O'Connor. And as always, those jetties are a player from Surfside, Freeport, Matagorda, holding lots of redfish on cracked blue crabs, mullet, and those big old table shrimp. The Port O'Connor and Port Aransas jetty is full of big reds as well. They're drifting in front of Bird Island and soaking menhaden and large table shrimp and on the moving tides. Guide Brett Sweeney and Keith Phillips there in Matagorda. They've been finding redfish in West Bay while fishing fresh mullet. Those schooling fish are beginning to move and show along the grass, and that trend should only get better as the days shorten and the thermometer begins to fall. Higher tides will push those reds in Rockport up on the Estes Flats. Then the nearby East Flats and Pelican Island in Port Aransas has been producing as well. Redfish Bay is holding good numbers of redfish for kayakers, tossing gulp and DOA shrimp. We'll go to tarpon, man. They have really been putting on a show along the Middle Coast from Sargent to Port O'Connor. There have been some really big schools showing up in about 30 foot of water, and those fish should hang around through the end of October. Best bites have come on shad and live finger mullet, but the lure chunkers are also rigging curly tail jigs on circle hooks, and they're connecting with those poons. Last week, guide Michael Quebec found a large school near Matagorda. His client flung a jig in the middle of the rolling school. The tarpon bit, rounded the surface, and threw the lure. So Quebec, he was fishing, literally right beside the boat. Those big school right beside the boat. He grabbed the first thing he could on the dash. It was a 2-ounce jig that he usually throws for a cobia. He grabbed another rod, tied it on with 200-pound fluorocarbon, and fed it overboard. Immediately, a big old fish bit and bound to the surface and jumped in his boat. And both of their eyes were pretty big. He said about had a heart attack because the fish was huge. The fish flopped off the boat. An hour and 45 minutes later, he landed it. That fish measured 86 inches with a 47-inch girth. And when you do the calculations, length times girth squared times 800, the fish was estimated at 258 pounds, which would have been a new state record. You got to really hand it to Quebec, though. He's conservation-minded. He didn't want to kill it just for the sake of the record. Any tarpon over 85 inches is legal to keep in Texas. And out of respect, he chose to release it and not kill it. He's taking a lot of heat right now from the local media because there's people talking, oh, he should have killed it. But, he erred on conservation. And when we do that in this game, only good things can happen. And there's a picture of it right there of that fish coming to the top. 86-inch fish, 47-inch girth, estimated 258 pounds. And there's also a picture of a scale that broke, that came off, that he had in the palm of his hand. You can see how big that scale is. And it broke the record Mike LaRue had at 229 pounds last year in Galveston Island.
All right, thank you so much, Bink. You did a great job this year. Tell the guys good job on the tournament, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says the trout are good while waiting Mid-Bay Reef and East Matagorda Bay on the top waters and lily lures.
Lilies. That's crazy, that story, man.
Yeah.
But you know what? They let it go. Someone else will catch that fish.
Great job by the guy.
Yeah, that's awesome, I think.
Man.
All right, Rick. Well, we never stop working, even during the off season, and now we have something exciting for all of you, our fans, right?
Absolutely. Bree, so, during the off season, we want to make sure all our fans, socially as well as viewers, have something to watch.
Yes.
So we've created a YouTube team called Sportsman's Adventures Real Life. I want you to take a look at what everybody's going to get a chance to look at.
Let's take a look.
The next generation is here. And this is what it's all about. This is Sportsman Adventures Real Life.
Well, that just looks on fire, let me tell you. We're really excited about it. We want you guys to go to our social media, Texas Insider Fishing Report, Sportsman Adventures, and we'll be uploading these shows very shortly. We're very excited
Go to
about
Sportsman's
them.
Adventures YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Click on
All right, you just set your pretty little selves right where they are because we're talking with our Middle Fresh and Upper Fresh regions next. And remember, for all things fishing in Texas, visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and view and tag us on Instagram. We will be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. And Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO Offshore Outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the 4 different models to choose from Power Pole. Starting with the 8 and 10 foot blades that feature an aerodynamic design with a pocketed spike and our soft close system. It's available in 4 different eye-popping colors, including the candy blue, candy red, and of course the black and the white. Moving to our Pro 2 series, it's available in 3 different sizes, a 4 foot, 6 foot, and 8 foot. It's also available in the black and the white. Moving to our Sportsman 2, it's available in only an 8 foot, but it's got a matte black powder coated finish and it starts at only $12.95. Then moving to our little micro anchor, it's perfect for your kayaks, john boats, and small skiffs. So whichever application you're looking for, Power Pole's got a model just for you, and that's your Power Pole tip of the week.
Your Power Pole tip. All right, Matt Loescher in the Star Charm Middle Fresh region is hot on Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn trails. So Matt, let's talk about it.
All right, Brie, I'm going to jump right into it talking about black bass over there on Sam Rayburn. You can really put that Power Pole to work over there right now fishing the grass. It's been pretty fun over there. They're going to really test your adaptability right now, but they will bite when you get around it. Due to recent rains and changing water temperature and clarity in some areas, the bass are spread out a bit, which means you can catch them just about any way you can think of. Shallow, deep, in the grass, wood cover, whatever it is you like to fish. The tough part about fishing this lake right now is that it all looks so good. So my recommendation for you this week is going to be a 1-2 punch. Keeping it simple. The first one is going to be just put a worm in your hand and, a bait that will catch fish in any situation or cover type. My worm of choice for this deal is going to be the Bass Assassin 7.5-inch worm. This ribbon tail bait will catch bass living at any depth or in any cover type. Red bug is what you want for the cleaner water, and June bug if you're going to be up the creeks or up the rivers where the water's a little dingier. The other bait I throw a ton this time of year, it started getting good about a month ago, and it's just going to keep getting better throughout the coming month or so, is the Stanley Top Peg. Get on a grassy stretch and cover water with this bait, and you'll get some of the most explosive topwater strikes you'll ever see. Now, to break it down just a little bit further for you as far as where to fish, you're going to want to concentrate on the grassy banks that have a creek going to swing nearby if you're fishing shallow. And that's where most of the numbers are coming from. But if you're going deep, if you like to fish the offshore stuff, then focus on the mouth of the creek and fish brush and wood in the mouth of the creek with that worm.
Hey, Matt. Matt, try to talk a little more into the phone. It's a little muffled, bub, please.
Oh, I apologize.
There you go. Perfect.
Is that better? All right.
Perfect.
So I'm going to move on into Toledo Bend now. The bass are scattered over there as well, but the worm will carry you over there just the same. So focus on creek channel ledges here in 10 to 20 foot of water. Throw that worm in a red bug or a June bug color, same kind of thing, clear water, dirty water. And the other bait that's a big player there right now is going to be a crankbait. Let you cover a lot of water on those creek channels. You're going to want something that dives to about 15 feet is best, and you want to use a shad pattern. Even if you see fish busting at the surface, that crankbait is often the ticket. Right now, you'll see fish coming up chasing shad a lot, but rather than reaching for a topwater plug when they appear, run that crankbait right through them, and you'll catch the biggest fish that hang lower in the school. And then talking about some white bass, I'm going to switch species here. Still on Toledo Bend, something I haven't talked about lately. They've been showing their fins on the surface lately as well. These nomad fish, they're going to appear usually on humps and ridges that top out in about 10 to 15 feet. And kind of like the black bass, topwater isn't always the best bait to catch them. So look for those shad balls on your sonar and drop a silver or a gold jigging spoon down through them to get some hard strikes. And then down at Lake Livingston, Simon Cosper is still tearing it up with the white bass and the hybrids, but they are catching more of them on topwater down there. A lot of the crazy weather that we've had with the rain and stuff and cloud cover has increased that topwater action. And then when that's not working, flap spoons down there as well. And then lastly, talking about crappie, up on Toledo Bend, they've been slow but steady lately. Catches are ranging anywhere from 20 to 50 fish a day, and they're still on timber. 15 to 25 foot of water is best. They'll always bite a minnow consistently, but if they get finicky, a great way to catch them is to back off and cast a panfish assassin or a Cajun lures, soft plastic jig, and a monkey milk color on a 16-ounce jig head. Count that jig down to about 8 feet and then slowly pull it back through the fish. And I got a couple of photos there for you guys. The first one is Miss Donna Miller with a couple of nice slabs she caught with me recently. And then the other photo there is a picture with a crappie with a jig in his mouth, and that's the jig I've been using. So that's a good example there so you guys know what to look for with those jigs. And last off, I just want to say thanks to all the TIFR crew. Really enjoyed being a part of the show this year. And thanks to Simon Costa with Get the Net Guide service. And thanks to everyone for watching.
All right, thank you, Matt. We're going to see him in a few weeks. We're going out there to go bass fishing, do a Sportsman's Adventure episode with him.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I'm leaving you at home with Mia. So let's take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Fresh region there, Brie. Bass on Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend are biting worms, shallow and deep. White bass at Toledo Bend are hitting jigging spoons in 10 to 15 feet of water. Crappie are biting monkey milk jigs around timber in 15 to 25 feet of water. I'll try not to reverse the depths. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll forgive you. All right. I'll also forgive you for that comment about leaving me home with Mia.
Hey,
all right. Well, you guys want big bass? See, you're gotten me all messed up now.
Yeah, we sure do.
The Yeti Lower Fresh region always seems to be producing. So Matt Reed is here to guide us on Lake Falcon, Fayette County, Somerville, Travis, LBJ, and Amistad. That's a lot. Go for it, Matt.
Yeah, that's a lot. Let's just get to rolling this week so I don't run out of time. We're going to start off down south at Falcon. Lake Falcon is fishing really well right now. There's a whole lot of things going on. We've caught 7 or 8 feet of water in the last few weeks, so that changes the patterns up a bunch. One thing that's happening now, you got some green cover in the water. That's moved a lot of fish shallow. You can catch those fish in that new flooded cover by throwing a white swim jig or a spinnerbait. You need to look for clean water back in those flooded brush. You know, there'll be clean water in the back of a lot of the creeks. The biggest key is to find the areas where you see the shad flipping. When this water stops rising, those fish are going to start schooling on those shad. It'll be a lot of fun shallow. The deep bite will still be there. The deep ledges and humps that are rock. You know, rock is always a key when you're offshore down there. It'll be a huge player. I like to throw big crankbaits at those fish. Your blueback chartreuse or citrus shad will catch you some giants right now in that 10 to 15 foot range. Let's move on to Fayette County. It's been good. With the fresh water we've had, again, there's fish shallow and deep. Take you a Texas rig and fish shallow, a Texas rig plastic, fish shallow around the grass and the standing timber. You can catch those fish shallow. If you prefer to fish deep, they're still fishing the summer patterns out on the main lake humps and points on the drop-offs in 15 to 20 foot of water. Best presentation for those is a Carolina Rig Soft Plastic in watermelon or green pumpkin. Next, Somerville, beginning to come up a little bit also. Most of the bass have been offshore in that 12 to 14 foot range on the main lake points that have brush piles, man-made brush piles, and there's some on the rock also. Throw you a red bug or black soft plastic on a Texas rig or a big shaky head into those brush piles or around the rock. There's a real good chance to catch you a big one at Somerville. It's fished so good for a couple of years now. It's just kind of a sleeper. Moving to the Austin area, Lake Travis, still kicking out fish on topwaters. Throw you a spook up against the rock bluffs and work it real tight to the shore. That's where the bigger fish are coming. Some of them are away from the shore, right at the edge of the ledge. It's out, out away where that rock drops off from, say, 5 or 6 foot of water, even to 20. Those fish will sit right on that edge and come up and blast the topwater right now. When the sun comes out, get you a trick worm, some kind of finesse presentation, move out around the standing timber, around the boathouses. That's where they like to be when the sun's shining. LBJ, most of the fish there are shallow. Fish Cincos or fluke sticks around the grass. Also, you can skip a jig under the docks when the sun gets high. A lot of big fish being caught at LBJ. Lake Amistad, water coming up from the rain, which is really good. I mean, we've needed it tremendously bad. It's covering up the hydrilla, which creates a pattern on the inside edge of the grass. A lot of fish on swim baits and top waters relating to the inside edge of that hydrilla. You might catch you some bigger ones if you get out to the outside edge, throw you a big Texas rig worm on that outside edge, that 15 to 25 foot of water. It's a great way to catch a big one. Also punching through the heavy matted grass with a 1 ounce weight and a piece of plastic. That's a lot of work, but sometimes it's worth the effort to get that big one that you've been looking for.
Tell me about the photo here, Matt.
That's a big old Lake Falcon stud right there. And I'm talking about the fish, not the man in the background. I promise. That one weighed about 10.5, and then the double-digit fish are always a blast.
Tell me about the catfish, bub.
Okay, catfish at Falcon Lake have been biting extremely well for the last couple of weeks. We got rising water. Well, that puts them active, puts them moving up in the shallower stuff, get on some rock breaks there in that 5 to 10 foot of range, get you some fresh cut shad, and get those big old blue cat. I mean, Falcon is full of big blues, so it can be a lot of fun.
You did a great job this year, bud. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hot spots. Matt says the Falcon Lake is fishing well. You can pick your poison now and fish shallow or deep. Shallow fish are eating swim jigs and spinner baits in clear water around the areas where there is shad, and then throw crankbaits around 10 to 15 foot depth rock to get a big giant one.
But you gotta pick your poison and
pick your
so.
poison.
Ain't that right? All right, we've got your last captain, the Upper Coast region, next on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. But we also have some new products to show off with Dave Ferrell at the CCA Workbench. Don't we, Dave? What you looking in for?
Man, I always want a tackle box to come with stuff in it.
There's nothing in there?
Well, there's boxes in here, but they're empty boxes.
Hey, boxes are always good.
Tackle
we'll be right
boxes
back.
should come full.
They should.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Yeti, built for the wild. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program. StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
When you've got an incredible opportunity in front of you, you want a Yamaha VMAX SHO behind you. Just ask 2017 Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Brandon Polinick. He'll tell you, if you're an aspiring angler with big dreams and a VMAX SHO, there's no limit to what you could achieve. Light, fast, fuel-efficient V6 performance and Yamaha reliability that lets you focus on your game. Nothing pushes you like a Yamaha VMAX SHO.
And that's all we need. We need next quarter so we can perform everything.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather, so stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala Ripstop.
Thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes as well as special segments right on our homepage. Just head to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Well, we're here at CCA Workbench
Yes,
talking
sir.
about new products. I can see we have the CCA product to start off with.
Yep, we got the nice CCA tackle bag there. It's made of 600 denier ripstop nylon, so it'll take a beating. It's got the molded bottom for real heavy, durability and keep it a little dry. It's kind of waterproof, but not completely. You couldn't put a hose on it, but it's water resistant for sure. It comes with four boxes or 3 boxes. It'll fit 4 to 6 besides, and I think it comes with 3. Yeah,
Comes with 2.
Comes with 3. There's another one in there.
3.
Comes with 3, and it holds 4 mediums or 6 larges. It's also got a little line spooler on the back. You can, put your spool of line on the back and fill your reels on the back. And it's got an adjustable shoulder strap as well to keep, put that on your shoulder.
Line thing?
Right here. It's right here. This little doodad right here.
I got it.
Yeah, you can unclip it and put your spool on there, and with all that weight in there, you can wind up your stuff. You don't have to have your kid there doing it who messes it up most of the time.
Good news, Ridge. You're not having to hold my line now.
Exactly. Next, we have some Costas. These are the bay sides right here. Here they are. These are the Panama blue fades. Very nice. Look good on you. Those are the gray 580Ps. They come in 4 different colors. The rounded eye shape is very relaxing to the eye, supposedly. It keeps your eyes relaxed. It's got ventilation ports on there, the hydrolite nose and the temples, as well as it's a bio-resin material now, so it's a lot more biodegradable. It's better for the environment when these things are done with their long life that you'll get out of your Costas.
Absolutely.
And you can use them for that.
Come with all the Costa warranties.
Correct. And and you can get you a nice Costa holder to put on there as well.
All right, let's do that.
All right, now we got, these are from R&R Tackle, our friend Ray Rocher. These are some of his new outrigger clips. These are the R2 outrigger clips. He spent 2 years and made 7 different versions of these things. He went down to Australia, found out those boys need to have a big clip to pull some stuff. You're pulling big baits. These, you can pull 25 pounds of pressure with these things, which is amazing. We used to have to use giant, big clothespin type ones with like 50 rubber bands around it to hold the big tunas and whatnot. But these will hold those big giant tuna baits, and they'll also adjust down to very light baits. They have a ball bearing like a swivel in there. It's not a ball bearing, but it's like it. And it makes sure that your clip is always pointing to the pressure. And it's got a starboard and a port side. You always put the bead down towards the water. And they have the big, you can see this is a very large diameter, and it's hand polished, so it's very smooth. It'll drop your it'll work like a clip. It'll drop it just like that. It's got a synthetic tensioner, and it won't vibrate out or corrode. So
very good.
Those are very cool. Get Ray. He also makes really cool kite clips as well.
Ray Rocher at R&R Tackle.
Correct. Now we have some more Nomads. These are ones we didn't get to. These are called the Riptide, and these are a floating stick bait. They also make 3 sinking versions of this same bait, and it'll walk the dog, if you twitch it on the top, or you can make big sweeps and make huge shifts left and right. The bottom, the heavier sinking version will do that sweeping under the water, and they're just
these
really,
are the floating version.
Correct. Yes? They're weighted at the back for a really long cast. They're got the Gorilla through wire. It'll sit tail down, and then you can back and forth, walk the dog with it. They
15 seconds.
They come in all sizes from 5 up to a 10-inch version,
right.
So you can catch giant fish.
And they can go to nomad.com and
nomaddesigntackle.com.
Dave, great job over here this year, bud.
Thank you very much.
Rick, I tell you, every time you put on a pair of new Coastas, your self-confidence levels just skyrocket. I don't know
Coastas
if
do that
y'all
for
can
you.
tell, but they're so good.
If everybody buy a pair, they'd know.
They'd be
They
happy.
would know. You would know. All right, Caleb, you're our final captain today, so why don't you tell us what kind of happiness the Upper Coast region is bringing us this weekend?
That's it. Well, hey, let's go ahead and close out the season talking about what to look forward to. I'm going to touch on what we've got to look forward to in the days that come approaching the fall. And, this weekend we experienced our first front of the year, and it sure was a sight for sore eyes. With each passing front, those trout are going to start moving to the more northern parts of the bay, ambushing the bait that's being pushed out of the marshes after each northerly blow. The fall transition, is pretty complicated, but to keep it short, our fish are schooled up pretty tight right now due to the warmer water temperatures that we still have. But as soon as the fronts really start coming in, the fish will start to spread out and migrate on their own towards the wintering grounds. And this will make things kind of tough and hard to pattern, but they're still there. They're just a little spread out. And once those fronts and the true fall pattern become stable, the fish will gang back up and become more predictable. Now, working flocks of diving gulls over fleeing shrimp that are getting pushed out of the marsh will be, a really good pattern to look for in the next couple months to come. But once those shrimp are gone, drifting over mud and shell in about a 2 to 4 foot column is going to be the game plan. And weight fishing is also going to become a player again over mud and shell when it gets colder, throwing your corkies and your topwater bait. So that's going to be good stuff. Switching over to redfish, the redfish action has still been really good on the shoreline, and like I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, but as the fall approaches, it's going to get even better. The same type routine as the trout, whenever more and more bait dumps out of the marsh behind the fronts, it's really going to fire the redfish up into tighter schools, and they're actually going to go shallower, making themselves much more visible, resulting in easier fishing. A lot of times when it gets cooler, these redfish are going to be in like shin-deep water with their backs out of the water, and they're going to be looking for anything to chew on, so this makes the fishing really good. The open water schools will start to slow down with each passing front since they're going to be going towards the shorelines, but fishing the marsh will be a solid option, and it's always a great time during the fall. Just rigging soft plastics on a Texas rig bass hook, or on a light 16th-ounce jig head is normally always going to be a surefire tactic to sight casting. And if the fish are a little deeper and you have to fan cast blindly, throwing topwaters and spoons are really good too. And then going offshore, the tarpon, they're here and they're going to be a player whenever the weather allows. A lot of the good tarpon guides here in Galveston have been on them for a while, but haven't really seen much consistency this year. Not saying that the Texas tarpon are ever consistent, but things are starting to get right. And several guys did very well this weekend when we had that north wind and the surf laid down. But, tarpon fishing on the upper coast pretty much consists of trolling and casting to schools of big tarpon in the 25 to 40-foot depth range off the beachfront between San Luis Pass to Galveston and, around High Island and even Sabine Pass. The lure of choice for most people around here is going to be a rigged plastic called a coon pop, which is trolled behind or even casted when you can see the fish. Fishing with shad is also a tactic around here too, but with the shad, you're also going to have to fight the sharks and the jacks a lot. If you're interested in getting on some of these Silver Kings, there's a few guys to go with here, but Captain James Plog and his group of guys with Silver King Adventures out of Tiki Island are the best. And there's a photo there of Matt Major with a really nice tarpon caught off of a coon pop this weekend. And then also, the rest of the offshore species are going pretty well whenever the weather will allow us to get out. The ling are still plentiful on surface structure, sight casting them with essentially anything whenever they're hungry. And like we've talked about before, ling are very unorthodox. They're going to eat anything some days, and other days they're not going to touch a thing. The snapper are still virtually everywhere on any type of structure. So, you're going to be pretty good on catching snapper, but just remember to release those red snappers safely since they're not in season right now. And then the dorado are still good on anything floating, and it's going to stay that way for a little while. But things are starting to improve, so just make sure you get out there and get on it before it gets too cold. And then to close it out, there's a photo there of a good buddy of mine, Alex Lee, with a nice ling caught over the weekend as well. So,
all right, Caleb. Hey, no more lip gaffs in those tarpon. They're suction feeders, man. Set a standard for those guys when they poke a hole in there and that fish tries to suck down a bait. Can't do it. So maybe we want to spread the word for Tiffer's conservation message. Thank you so much. Did a great job this year. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the CCA Upper Coast region. Inshore, expect the trout under the birds in the days to come in the northern stretches of the bay. The north end of Trinity back to the east and middle of the West Bay will be the first place that's going to light off. And then offshore, tarpon in the beachfront, 25 to 40 feet of water, trolling coon pops and dead shads. And this is the time of year for one of those big poons.
Oh my gosh, you guys. This is crazy.
Look at Dave.
Dave is wearing those because he's crying because he's really sad.
Oh, I am.
Guys, it was such a great.
Sad.
I'm sad too. It's a great season.
Sad.
You know, we're going to be busy in the off season, obviously with Sportsman's real life show and everything like that. You'll be fishing, Sportsman Adventures. Dave, I'm sure you'll be marlin fishing somewhere in the world.
Hopefully going to Australia in October.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I'll be fishing
Come
with a
with
baby
me.
on my back.
Dave, you got some spots left for Australia?
Yeah, I got some.
So they can just send you an email at
or go to my
products?
Facebook page.
Yeah.
And send me a message. I got 3 spots, 10 days.
Guys,
Australia.
thank you so much
Yes.
for watching every week. We appreciate it very much
We
around
really
here.
do.
And more importantly, if you get some really cool pictures of your fish, send them to our social media page at the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We'd be happy to post them. Be safe out there on the water, and you know what?
It's been a great season.
It won't be
Put
long.
her
We'll
here,
be right back.
guys.
See
Put
you
her
next
here.
year.
Woo!
All right,
Good
man.
season. Bye.